Hey, welcome back. I'm just about to group my stuff for the vortex so I can start the particle. So what I can do is just hit Control G. Now we have a group for the vortex. I'll just rename this group Vortex -G. Just tell it's a group. And if you want to go inside a group, you can always hit this arrow that's on the extreme right, and you'll see inside it. And you'll notice the mapping here for the hierarchy, Vortex G, top. So now let's make a particle. Back to the OpenGL view. So now that we have space and we have a vortex, let's make a new drawing. It's going to be a particle. It's going to be a simple little object, which is like a dot or something. Up to you how you want it to look. So what I'm going to do is, well, I can use my ellipse tool and just draw a simple little particle. Here it is, Junior. So cute. Alright, so my particle is a little biggish, maybe. Let's shrink it down a bit more. And also, for now, I'm going to put my rotation point for it in the center. That way, I don't have any problems later on. And I'll also fill it in so it's viewable. It's white. It's a little white dot. Looks like one of the stars you're seeing here. Now I'm going to add some effects to this particle here. So currently it's just this one circle dot. And what I want to do, no, before I add the effects, what I want to do is let's add the action first. So what we're going to do is just have it probably for 20 frames and another 30. So from, say, this point here, we have the particle start from here and end up here. Now currently it's going to show you in a straight line. If I was to add another point, say in the middle, like another keyframe, it will just do it in a straight line. I don't want that. I want it in a perfectly straight. I want it to be in a curve. So let's undo this, and I'm going to show you something else. We're going to go into the layer properties of this particle drawing here. You can always bring yours up. It's right here. Or you can right click on it yourself. What we're going to do, we see position and separate. Currently it's in separate. Separate always makes stuff go in straight lines regardless of how much you might want to put in as much keyframes as possible if it's going to be linked by a straight line. But if we have 3D path now, it's going to do its best to make it curve. So let's do what we just did a while ago again. Add a keyframe here, add a keyframe here. So this last point, I'm just going to pull this like so. What's going to be nice is that I want this thing to actually come from, say, off screen here and then go into that portal. Now let's see how it looks without this guide. Traveling along, just vanishes inside, right? But I want it to have a nice little curve. So let's add, show it again, the show controls. I'm going to add a little path. So I'm going to press P. But first I'm going to go to my transform tool. I'm going to hit P, which is a shortcut. It's like insert point. So I'm just going to hit P. And it's going to insert a point right at my path. And I can add as much point as I want, but I just want one. Just so I can make a curve. Feels kind of short, doesn't it? So let's add more time. And increase this by another 10. So we have a particle flying in from off screen and into our portal. Right? Now we have one particle. We can begin with the effects. So back to the network. What I'm going to be adding to this particle is I'm going to make a composite for it. Control H. Now, once you have the particle, some effects we're going to be using are I'm going to be using glow again. So grab a glow and grab yourself a transparency because you want it to fade in, and also you want a motion blur because you want it to have a trail. So we have the particle. I'm going to put the glow, particle to the glow, glow to the front. And just like before, I'm actually going to be use source color. Let's add this by, I don't know, 10. Let's see what it looks like in render view. There it is. Doesn't look very exciting, right? So let's use source color. Better. Then for the motion blur, that's gonna go through, particles gonna go through that and go behind. And you can actually set how much of a trail that you want for your motion blurs. Motion blur goes to the composite, and you see a little trail following it, which is good. You can actually set the settings of your motion blur. You can choose the intensity and such. If say I wanted my intensity to be, I don't know, 2, then my trail will become much more apparent. But I'll stick with 1. And you can also set the amount of samples, how smooth you want it to come out. So for that, that'll be fine. And now for the transparency is actually going to be going through the entire, the composite is going to go through the entire transparency. So what I want is I'm going to animate the transparency, and by hitting the data view button in the timeline and clicking the plus on the transparency, you'll notice it shows the figure here. What I want is for my little particle to be completely invisible, and let's say for, I don't know, from 5 to about 12 becomes less invisible, if there's such a term. So that's what it looks like. Invisible starts fading in, and pretty much by the end of it, it should end up through the portal. And the reason why I added an extra 10 frames is so that the trail itself could disappear after 10 frames because of the, so I don't know, keyframe at the end of this, right? Just for the sake of adding it. And so now I have a particle that moves on its own. I can actually group all of this now. Control G. I'll just call this particle G. I'll just add 1 extra particle or 2, just so you get an idea of how, if you wanted to add more particles going at different timing and different directions, or rather different paths. So let's duplicate this. We can go back to our, well, we are in the render view. So we're going to duplicate the selected layer. So now we have a particle G1. Then you notice that the dots are the same. So what I want to do is I'm going to actually grab these and move them, say, down a bit along my timeline. You notice I have 2 dots now because of the timing, but I'm going to change the path in particle G1. So this keyframe here, let's move it. So let's start that particle, even though it's invisible. I'll hit K just so I can see where it's going. Oh, there it is. So let's start this one from maybe even closer. Let's say here, right below, and then it just ends up pretty much the same place, except I'm gonna have to check the path because I still have the point that I inserted, so I have to edit that too. So click that, curve it like so, I guess. And for this last point here, I'm just gonna move this so it doesn't cause a problem for, whoops, pardon me. So there we have it. Now we have two particles. One going from above, one coming in from below. And we also do the fading thing, which is good. So if you want to add more particles, we can. So all you have to do is just duplicate it and change the trajectory. So let's render this out and see what it looks like, and you should be pleased with it. Excuse me while I time jump for you. Or we all could just watch this together. So just some tips again. You just add the particles as you see fit. Don't clone them, duplicate them, because there's a difference between clone and duplicate. You can always mess around with your filters. You don't have to do it exactly like mine. You have to even draw yours exactly like mine. But just play around so that you have a good idea of what and what not to do. And as before, you can always, leave your comments below. And also like, subscribe, share with a friend. Right. You can skip past this part because, yeah, you can just get to the part where it looks all nice and rendery. I'll just sit here and wait. Another render is up. So this is what the render result looks like. Hopefully you're pleased. Background kind of adds niceness to it. Maybe we should add a glow to the background too, but that's up for you to do. So I'll leave you to it. Hopefully you learned something cool. Feel free to use it. And hey, if you made it, feel free to link me so I can see what your results were. Alright, thanks for watching once again. Take care, and God bless. Keep your nose clean. Take care.